Good morning, everyone. Andy Schwab here with your Farm and Ranch News. With the ice jams finally busted up around the Hinsdale area, ranchers are getting a chance to assess the flooding damage along the Milk River. For Chisholm Christensen, 3 miles outside of the tiny town, the saturated ground has forced the need for extra hay to be fed.
You hate to cuss the weather, especially after coming out of a 2-year drought. But if somebody was feeding 5 bales, you're putting it out on the ground or up in the hills for these cows to eat it. And with the ground so muddy, they're not utilizing all that feed either. A lot of that's getting stomped in.
Chisholm added they do not expect to be able to get into that flooded area for an extended period of time. Well, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association filed comments on the USDA's proposed traceability rule. The rule would emphasize the importance of electronic animal identification to protect the cattle industry from a threat of a foreign animal disease. USDA's proposed rule would also apply to cattle 18 months or older only when moving interstate. NCBA President Todd Wilkinson said their comments emphasize protecting U.S. cattle herds from the threat of foreign animal diseases while also protecting producers' private data, limiting the costs of tagging devices and operating at the speed of commerce. Well, also along the national front, the House of Representatives was unsuccessful in getting enough votes to override President Biden's veto of legislation undoing a rule defining the Clean Water Act definition. Well, that's all for our ag news, but join me back here in an hour for a look at your ag markets.
We asked Montana farmer Walt Sales about the challenges of mental health in agriculture.
Another drought. There always is. There's always going to be another something. I grew up in a generation of you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. But it's become evident is what do you do if you can't even find those bootstraps? If you need to talk to somebody, go to beyondtheweather.com for free counseling for Montana ag producers.
Welcome back, friends, to your Ag News and your markets. A Montana Senate bill with an agriculture focus is headed to the governor's desk for ballpoint approval. Senate Bill 561 aims to create a veterinary retail facility permit with an overarching goal to save producers hundreds of miles and trips to the vet's office ahead of this summer's FDA regulation rollout of those over-the-counter drugs now needing a prescription on June 11th. Montana Stock Growers Association and Montana Farm Bureau testified in support of the bill during the House Ag Committee, saying that the bill will help or not interfere anyways with the veterinary and producer relationship and will also save them hundreds of miles. Well, struggles on the grain complex helped the feeder cattle complex climb to new highs yet again yesterday. That, however, did not push the cash cattle markets higher as they felt the big gains over the previous 2 weeks. Continued thinning supplies of the cull cows is driving prices towards that $1 per pound mark for those mamas that have some good flesh to them. Also higher is that heiferette market. Now, Sioux Falls sheep markets had a different approach to pricing this week. Demand seemed to drive towards those higher weight classes, with the 90-pound lambs holding a 40-cent per pound premium over the lighter lambs, 60 pounds. And despite the wet weather stretching from Montana and Minnesota, spring wheat traders are looking at lower markets as winter wheat markets did drop over a dime yesterday as well. Row crops also ran into their troubles despite the planting delays likely going to stretch out throughout this weekend. Well, that's all for Ag News and Markets. I'm Andy Schwab. Have a good rest of your day.